Hey, hi, hello, what are you up to? This is the Aloha Broha podcast. We are brought to you today by Greenleaf Check. What the fuck is Greenleaf Check, you ask? Man, I'm gonna do it again. This is like the fourth time. Hopefully I don't fuck it up, right?
Keep going.
You think
Greenleaf.
I remember?
Huh?
No, you think
Green.
Yeah, but it's also cozy. So the guy who
6,
live
7,
tweeted
8,
his
and
not
go.
acid trip.
Okay, Greenleaf Check is a creative group of like-minded individuals who share a common purpose to create unadulterated vehicles of self-expression through various art forms with a focus on oral and visual stimuli.
Oh,
And that's Greenleaf Check. How's that one? Was that good?
I
Not
like that
bad.
lie.
Not bad at all.
Lie.
You can find us on greenleafcheck.com. Find all kinds of content like podcasts. Subscribe to our Music Mix podcast on iTunes. And Aloha Broha's a part of that network as well. And, yup, who else are we brought to people by, Ben?
Today we're also brought to you by About the Goods, which is the shop that we're recording in right now. This is the About the Goods shop. You can see probably part of it in the background here. So
Let's hope no customers come in during this time.
I know, right? That's what I was just talking to Cozy about before we got up here. Established in November of 2012 in Honolulu, Hawaii, About the Goods is an extension of individuals Robin Taklas, DJ Revise, Jonathan Evangelista, Took NHLA, and Riana Stellburg, DJ Tittahbyte, who are active in Hawaii's underground music scene as photographers, DJs, and promoters. About the Good takes pride in being involved within Honolulu's underground music community by putting on in-store events, concerts, and supporting local artists. They've contributed to the albums of local hip-hop artists Qualified and The Horror Show, who are both Nahoku Hano Hano Award nominees. Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Okay, on this episode of the podcast, episode 004, we got a double...
Oh, you know what? I forgot to say the website. Aboutthegoods.com with one T. Aboutthegoods.com. Let me say it one more time. Aboutthegoods.com with just one T.
One T. Don't put two T's.
It'll look like About He Goods.
About He Goods. Word, because we about He Goods. Okay, on today's podcast, episode 004?
Yes.
Episode 004. We got a double whammy, a special yesterday for the very first time on the podcast. We got two lovely ladies.
Ew, you call me lovely? That's weird.
I thought girls like, come on, I'm trying to
You
give
can
you a
call Mykie
compliment,
that.
man.
That's weird with me.
Why is it weird with you?
It's weird.
Fuck, I'm just trying-
PiNaYs.
Two badass PiNaYs.
Yeah, I like that. Sounds like my old AOL screen name. Hey.
Over here, we got Riana Stellburg, a.k.a. DJ Tittahbyte, who is also a part of Greenleaf Check as a DJ, promoter, etc. ... Smiley face emoji.
What?
100
that?
emoji.
Huh? No, I didn't read it. I just made it up.
Flame emoji.
Say what's up, Rihanna. Let everybody know your voice.
Hi. Sorry.
And
As
our
she scrolls through her phone.
fucking pay attention. And our second guest is my good friend, Mykie Ozoa. What? Ozoa.
So I guess not as good as you were trying to get all of our listeners to think.
To think what?
That you're not that good of friends. You're like, oh,
We're great
Zoa?
friends.
I don't know anybody's last name.
Everybody just knows me by Mykie.
I'm trying to read it. I don't know, cause people fuck up my last name all the time. 100% of the time, people fuck it up. So I'm always like,
Suko-
Damn, you
Caldito?
sound
Cozy?
so
Yeah.
angry.
no, I'm just
So angry
I'm
right
not
now.
angry. Not yet.
What do we look like?
Rihanna, what do you care? Come on.
No, I mean, I want to see if there's any viewers.
Oh, okay.
We got 3 now.
Yay!
Yeah.
I posted it like all over social media.
Cool.
You guys are our real friends.
And of course, my co-host Ben.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
And Quali couldn't be here today because he's
Ben.
doing like married couple shit for Valentine's
Yeah,
Day.
we're recording this
Shout
on
out to married
Valentine's.
people
Yeah.
everywhere.
Thank you, our live viewers, for not having a Valentine and spending it with us.
It's so sad.
So like, yeah, let's get to know our special guest today, Mykie. What's up with you? Like, how have you been? How are you? How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. Last semester, I started law school, and I fucking hated everything about life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
What'd you
this
collect?
semester's a lot better, so I'm good. I'm
Are
chilling.
you still doing law, or did you switch? Cool.
Yeah.
Are you is it too early to like pick what kind of law you're going to be going into?
Most people go. I mean, a lot of people change their mind, but most people go in like with an idea of what they're passionate about. Otherwise, like, I don't think they would
Like, what the
admit
fuck
you
you
at
going to
all.
school
Yeah,
for?
exactly.
So what type of law are you planning on specializing
Definitely
in?
public interest, more on the policy side. I'm really interested in community organizing, but you don't need a law degree to do that shit. So just trying to legitimize it, I guess.
Like
Nice,
handle
yeah.
the legal
Back it up
side.
with a
Yeah,
degree.
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
bam, son.
Political lawyers.
So you took like the LSATs and everything.
Yeah.
Dang.
That
Congratulations.
was bullshit because you don't use any of that in law school.
Really? Yeah.
Law school.
Yeah.
My
It's
mom,
like SATs.
Yeah, exactly.
my mom was always trying to pressure me to be a lawyer because I like to argue.
So did mine.
At least with her,
So
it's
did, like, my
it's not like the
parents.
prerequisite to go to law school or something. Like if you're good at arguing or you like to argue, you should be a lawyer. Is that what it is?
I get
No.
into a lot of arguments just because I'm like hella passionate about shit. But like, I remember Brittany said something once like, if you are going to law school, she wasn't talking to me, but she was like, if you're going to law school because you are argumentative, like, you really just need therapy or some shit. Like,
I feel like
Yeah.
if you can, like, the way you argue is constructive and you can present, like, evidence and, like, be a constructive argumenter, I
Like
guess.
have constructed
logic.
arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what it is too is like because so many people who aren't in law
Yeah.
have a very Hollywood view
Yeah,
of what
they
law
just
is.
think, oh, I like to argue. I'll be a lawyer.
They
Yeah.
think of like prosecutors and
Yeah.
defense attorneys
Yeah,
creating their
exactly.
argument.
The
And
truth.
realistically, that is a very small percentage of
Yeah.
what law is.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like I'm planning on getting into film one day, and I know like there's a huge business for film law where it's just the guys who draw out contracts for actors
Right, yeah.
and
Contract
TV
law.
and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a huge section of the law
Yeah.
where like actual prosecutors and defense attorneys, little tiny section of what law is.
Yeah.
Plus, like most cases don't even go to court nowadays. They just
Oh, yeah.
get
Settle it outside.
Yeah, so
Because it's easier.
yeah. And then a lot of people, they get their law degree and then they go into business or like they don't even use it. So
That's a damn shame. That's a
Yeah.
lot of, like, hours putting into it.
and money.
Yeah. My mom wanted me to be a lawyer. She's like, you can be a lawyer for the Filipino people. I'm like, I think if I want to be a lawyer, I'd be like a criminal lawyer. I want like the most extreme case.
You want to go on
Yeah.
defense or on prosecution?
Probably prosecutor. Yeah.
So
like,
you want-
make
you wanna,
everyone
like-
hate me and shit.
you wanna
Nah,
fuck up the
actually,
bad guys.
I would have been down for both. Like both sides because I'm pretty open-minded. Like I can see both sides.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think the closest thing I got to like law or anything was like I was in debate in high school.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. Like it totally changed my whole view. And
Yeah.
I always told myself if like shit didn't work out, I would totally go into law after if nothing worked out.
I've always told myself if shit didn't work out, I was going to become a history teacher.
Oh, that's like I can see you as a history teacher.
Thank you.
Yeah.
History was like one of my favorite subjects.
I
I
love
should
history.
probably start going to school because I'm 28 now and shit isn't working
You
out.
better. You should probably start.
How do I become a teacher
Like,
now?
if shit doesn't work out.
Start a blog.
Like that's one of the that's one of the things. Like I really have not given myself a backup, and so like everything that I've focused, I'm like, oh, this has to work, otherwise I'm fucking
I
screwed.
have to be a history teacher.
Yeah, no, it's not even that because like I'm not even set up to like start. I have no idea how to become a
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Just get your bachelor's degree.
See, like
first,
how to.
yeah.
I don't even know how to apply for college.
I think they just go online, right?
I mean, it's like
Fill out a
online.
fucking form.
It's like
I did it once. Like I went down to LCC and I was like, I'm gonna take a film course, and like they gave me a bunch of papers, and I was like, I don't understand any of this.
Oh man, I took some film courses at LCC. They're really interesting. We pretty much just watch movies all day and then write about
like
it.
critique it.
Yeah, I took like a storyboarding class.
See, I do that already.
That's
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, you
So,
get like a
like,
grade
now-
for
Get
it.
credit for it.
Nowadays,
I don't want
like
to pay
you
for
don't.
it.
Yeah,
though.
you don't need.
No, yeah, and that was the
degree or
big thing about film too. Is like everyone that I talked to said like if you're gonna go to film school, go somewhere in LA.
Yeah.
Realistically, because the people that you're going to be going to school with are going to be your peers in the industry,
Yeah,
and the people that
later
you're
on.
learning from are going to be your contacts. In the
Yeah,
industry.
you might as well go to the heart of where it's happening.
Right.
You know?
So, but I mean, it's expanding, and I've actually just last weekend I hooked up with a local film crew here.
cool.
And like I've recently, as of like maybe 6 months ago, I decided that I wanted to transition from actual videography to sound.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And they're like, I was just they brought me on as just an assistant, so they're like, oh, we just need a little bit extra help. I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I'll stop by, help out. When I ended up shooting stuff, and as we're wrapping up, I was like, yeah, no, I'm trying to transition over to sound, but I don't have any of the equipment. They're like, we have all the equipment, we don't have a sound guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm available all the time.
Sounds like a good gig, man.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
That's like perfect.
Yeah, so that's the plan, hopefully.
Work the boom, work the
Yeah, exactly.
Work the
That's what
pole
they're saying.
a
They got all that. They got a few lapel mics and everything. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
start, hopefully, running their sound whenever they got a stuff now.
Dope, man. Let me know if you need help because I'm trying to do that kind of shit too. Trying to find. I got backups for backups for backups. That's why I'm doing like this fucking. Because I don't know if I'm gonna be a fucking famous DJ. Or famous rapper or famous podcaster.
It's so like
You know, it's a-
draw shit.
See, now you're gonna be famous for all of those things.
I feel like
Jack of all
those-
trades. Yeah.
Yeah, those things are super like short term. You know, like they're not.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
it's like your 15 minutes kind of thing, but
Yeah.
fuck, if you can make
See,
it work.
Yeah, see, like I haven't gave myself any backups because a lot of the people in the industry that I want to go to, all of them are saying like, don't have a backup because if you have a backup, you're gonna fall back on it because
That's true.
it's a fucking pain.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
if you
like-
stick with it for 10 plus years, 15 plus
Yeah.
years, you may not be like Tom Cruise, but you're gonna be able to sustain yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to be doing something you care about.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to live. So like, but everyone, they say everyone, all the failed actors that you hear about and whatnot, it's all because they're like, oh, I'm going to go give it 2 years.
Yeah.
And if I'm not where I want to be, I'm going to go back to being a teacher or whatever
Yeah,
it is.
so they don't
And
put their full
Yeah. They're sitting there, it's like,
into
oh,
it.
well, I always had this. And so I've never had a backup because I'm like, well, if this fails, I'm going to be on the street. So I got to
Yeah.
fucking hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of my issues is like sometimes I think that I do too much, but that's a lot of that is because I get bored easily.
That's like me.
You know, so I gotta.
Well, you're expansive.
expansive. What do you mean by
Yeah,
that?
you have like I have an interest in a whole bunch of things too, but like I've already found what my quote unquote passion is.
Yeah.
Like I want to tell stories through whatever medium it is, whether it's an oral medium or a visual medium. I want to just tell someone a story, and that's why I want to create films.
Yeah.
And so I figured that's one of the best ways to do it. I feel like you're still kind of like, you know, I have a bunch of passions. I don't know what my main passion here is other than just general expressing myself. And so you have like the modern day artist feel to you
Fucking
where it's
Renaissance, man.
yeah, you're just like, I'm going to go do everything because I can express myself in
Yeah.
everything right now.
Express yourself.
So
Yeah, I
it's
think
this
Jake,
cool thing.
Jake called me a
know.
Renaissance lion one time. That's what he called me. That's
that your line name?
I think so.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what he said.
Krista,
Called
you
me-
know,
like
at
that.
Super CW, she named me Renaissance Woman of the
Oh,
Year.
shit.
Yeah.
Renaissance.
Really?
I know, yeah, and
Team Renaissance in the house.
I know. Well, for me, like, I don't think of it as like different areas. I think, like, for me, all my stuff that I do goes back to the same shit, which is music. It always goes
Yeah.
back to music. It's just different ways of showing or, you know, letting out music, but it always just goes back to it, you know. But what you want Southern Comfort? I don't want that.
I don't think anybody wants it. I'm just gonna
I'm
have this
good
to
right now.
myself.
I'm like chilling with my Reds apple ale.
Shout out to Jake.
Shout out to Jake.
Anyway.
Anyway, okay, the
We
reason
gotta
I
get
brought
back on track.
the reason I brought like Mykie, and I was really stoked for Mykie to be on the podcast, is because she is a feminist. Is that true?
Word. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Word.
Word.
I said that with confidence, girl. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and I have a very vague idea of what feminism is, and I was like, I have this like real curiosity when I see something that I find interesting and something that people are passionate about. I kind of want to know more about it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I brought you on to help explain to me what is feminism.
I think people have a really fucked up view of feminism, and I don't blame them because I did too, because of the mainstream media and all of that anti-feminist propaganda is backlash to the women's movement, really. But I think, well, one of the reasons why so many people reject feminism, so many women at least, is that feminism for a long time really only focused on white women. And like, I think we all know that white women are not the most marginalized group in society.
Yeah.
And so mainstream feminism for a while ignored black women, women of color, quote unquote third world women, immigrant women, disabled, trans women. And I feel like I know, like, at least myself and Brittany, and I don't even know if you could call us third wave feminists, because I think a lot of young feminists nowadays are trying to separate themselves even from that, and just really radical and all-encompassing. And like you talked about, like you asked me to talk about feminism and also touch upon Native Hawaiian sovereignty and Black Lives Matter,
yeah.
and what was the other thing?
Stuff.
Yeah, like Filipino shit.
Yeah.
But like, if your feminism is legit, it should already not even consider all of those things, but those issues should, like, by default be a part of your perspective, I guess. And like, people talk about feminism like it's like a group or a cult or a sisterhood or some shit, but it's really just a lens and like a way to see everything. Like, every interaction, any movie, any book I read, like, I'm gonna see it through a gendered and racial lens. And because I'm able-bodied and because I'm heterosexual, like, I have to remind myself and I have to check myself of those privileges.
Yeah.
But, and really think about, like, but is this movie, for example, being heteronormative? Is it ignoring, or is it making heterosexual relationships seem like the norm? Or is it ignoring the plight of disabled bodies? And all of that is feminism. Like, all of that is just part of being a feminist.
And that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up. Is like, I consider myself a humanist, and from what you're describing, like, that all falls for me under what was called humanism. What I've taught, what I've been taught, is humanism.
Yeah.
And so I feel like calling it feminism makes it almost exclusive in itself. It's trying to say that these qualities are particular things for the feminine type.
Yeah.
And realistically, like, many males can identify with a lot of these things too. And that's why I've always found it better to call these sort of belief structures to be humanist.
Yeah. Well, like, my boyfriend, for example, he identifies as a feminist. A lot of people will say male feminist, but I feel like that's redundant, because feminism isn't just for women. Like, feminism also, if I see something, I'm like, we also consider the ways that patriarchy and sexism negatively affects men, especially men of color, or gay, bi, transsexual, transgender men of color.
The general civil rights issues.
Right, exactly. But it's kind of like changing Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter. Like, people aren't, like, the police aren't killing white people in the street for no reason and not facing any consequences. Like, that's really only happening to Black people and Native American people every 28 hours. And a lot of the issues that women face, I guess, are perpetuated not by men necessarily, but by patriarchy. And I understand, like, even Black women have a lot of them subscribe to womanism as opposed to feminism, because of what I talked about, like, how it's been mostly focused on white women for a long time, like, since the suffragist movement, really. And there's, like, a new movement, I guess, happening called Meninism, and it's really disgusting.
It's
is that the one? There's like this group of guys. They like put up a video with an apology to women. Is that
no? The Meninism, if I'm correct, that's the one that's like the anti-feminist. It's like things need to be more masculine.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Which I mean has its place, but like the way that they're going about it, to me, has always seemed like the way that the radical feminist went about trying to shove, like, we don't need men at all, and this and that, and all this stuff. And it's like, you really need this, like, equilibrium of these things. You can't go to these extremes. And then you see where extreme takes you every day with, like, radical Islam, and even back in history, you see, like, radical Christianity with the Crusades and whatnot, and all these horrible things where, like, if you go too far on the spectrum in any way, it ends up being bad. Nazism is going too far down the right side of the political spectrum, where, you know, what happened, the communism that happened in Russia is
that
going.
That was communism. But
Well, I mean, I'm saying the communism that happened in Russia.
Yeah.
That particular communism, because I mean, like, I agree. I think eventually we all need to go to some sort of communism.
Hell yeah.
But the communism that happened in Russia, the communism that is technically happening, or what's being called communism in North Korea, that's going way down, too far down the left side of the political spectrum. And so you need to find these nice centrist views. I keep smacking my mic here.
It's what happens when you talk with your hands.
Yeah, I'm like, this mic. Yeah, I get that. I just don't, as a woman, I don't want to negotiate. I don't feel like I should have to negotiate my identity because other people don't understand.
No, I agree, and that's why I've fallen into the very humanism side of things, because like I don't follow any real religion, and for me, humanism has always been about treating people like people. Treat whoever they are, no matter what their gender, race, sexuality, whatever. It's all the same. They're all still humans. They need to be treated like humans. Treat them well. Don't treat them badly. If they don't want to be treated a specific way, then you don't treat them that way. If you don't want to be treated a specific way, then people shouldn't treat you that way.
Yeah.
They both sound like beautiful things.
Yeah, I mean,
I think as long as the values are there, the title doesn't really.
That's what I'm saying. Is like what's that? What I've been calling kind of that middle ground. I guess now it's newer feminism or womanism. Sounds to me a lot like humanism and what a lot of humanists talk about. And so they're very similar, if not the same. I think.
Yeah.
Probably just different words for the same ideology.
Yeah.
Word
up.
Oh, it was demilitarization.
That too, I was wondering about that too as well. We'll get on that. But yeah, that was dope. Very enlightening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Rihanna, what are your thoughts on feminism?
I mean, like I don't call myself I mean, I really don't identify really with anything. Like I feel like every person has like their own set of values and the way they look at things, and I'm not one to like impose, you know. And I know like nowadays like it's not like that. Like you have Mykie here. Like to me, this is the new generation of feminists, and they're a lot more open-minded, you know, and like they're not radical like how a lot of people think they are. And like for me, like as a female, you know, like doing stuff in a man's industry, like for me, it's I really like to focus on balance. And like I feel like men and women, they check and balance each other out. Like if one's going a little bit on the other side, then of course you have the other sex to bring it back, you know. And for me, like a lot of like I had this question on like I think Ara from Flux, she asked me like, oh, like, you know, female DJs are getting a bad rep, and in my mind it's like, you know what, it's not just no she was just asking she was asking me my opinion on it, you know, because we have like Paris Hilton.
Okay,
you know,
okay,
like,
yeah.
You know, and I feel like and she was named, I forgot what magazine or whatever named her best
female DJ, something like that, like number one.
Yeah, but for me, like
what?
Yeah,
I
know. Like for me, I told her, I was like, I don't give a shit about if you're a best female DJ, best male. Like you don't see a best male DJ, you know?
Exactly.
To me, it's more about, are you the best DJ? Period. Like sex shouldn't matter, you know? Like, oh, she scratches pretty good for a girl, you know? Like I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like so I mean, I don't care. Like, you know, I just like I said, like I just kind of like do my own thing, like just show and prove, you know? Like you do how you do your things, it's fine, you know. I don't know.
Also depends on what they're doing, because like I just thought about like women's like MMA, women's fighting and stuff. 'Cause you can't have like a woman fight a guy, can you? No.
I mean, it really depends on the person. It really depends. It always comes down to person to person.
Yeah, it's the person. Yeah.
But I mean, in general, men tend to have a larger structure, whether it's muscular or bone, and that in a fight, especially in an MMA fight, that does give an incredible advantage. And so there's a recent transgender MMA fighter that's trying to he just became female. And he's trying to.
You didn't disclose that information,
right? Something like that. I don't know the exact details. Well, but he was there. There was this big controversy about whether or not he should be fighting in the female MMA stuff, and because then now they're saying like one person compared it as like, because at that point you're not having two women fight, you're having a woman fight a dude with no dick.
Yeah.
And that can be very it can be a complete disadvantage for certain people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be that chick that can kick your ass.
Yeah.
There's always going to be that guy that can kick your ass.
Yeah.
It's all depends from person to person. But realistically, like in general, men tend to be bigger, tend to have larger muscle structure and
Doesn't it go
denser
by
bone
weight class
structure.
though?
Yeah.
It does.
That too.
So-
And apparently, like in the fights, like I forgot the name of the fighter, but she steamrolled her opponents. Apparently, from what I've heard, like it was like really.
Rousey?
Wait, what are you talking?
Rousey?
Rousey.
Rousey.
Oh, you're talking about the transgender
The
fighter?
transgender fighter, yeah.
Yeah, no, she just went,
Just
took everything
dominated
out
pretty much.
really
Yeah,
fast.
and then I feel like that's what it comes down to is the person. If they think they can take down a man or a woman, then fuck, let them go. You know, let them
And the whole controversy was that they didn't
allow.
No, they didn't disclose that information. That
Oh,
she was
okay.
transgender.
It's interesting. Like, I don't know. I feel like with every person, we have a masculine side and a feminine side.
I mean, nobody is strictly like.
One-sided. Like,
Yeah,
I'm all female. You know what I mean? Like, I have aggressive.
I'm sure there's somebody
Right, like,
who's
there's-
strictly female or
there's,
strictly male.
I mean, but like you could
There's
be
like 7 billion people in the
like
world.
out of us, like maybe like 2 or 3 of us could have been born intersex, and like we wouldn't even know, cause like
Yeah.
the doctors, as soon as you come out, they will fix that shit. Like, and some of them won't even tell your parents. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
like,
that was a
it's
big
all about your hormones.
controversy and issue, yeah.
And like,
Because in the womb during development process, pretty much everyone starts off male hormonally.
Yeah,
I thought it was
women.
female.
That's why.
Or
men,
that's what I meant.
yeah.
I meant female. I said male,
Yeah.
but
'Cause
male, female.
and then
oh,
RBG gets.
Yeah, hormonally.
Yeah.
And then as the development process comes out, the Y chromosome starts bringing out more of the testosterone. You
Yeah.
start to become male if you have it.
Yeah.
And then there's some people who chromosomally are still male, but their Y chromosome is not activating the male hormones, like the testosterone and whatnot. And so they stay a lot more female for a lot longer.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the human body is so fucking interesting. Like so complex and like I remember reading like what is that book called? Why Men Have Nipples, and that's when I found out how like
We start
that
as
we all
female.
start off as female,
Yep.
and I was like,
Oh.
what?
I took a class and we read this book. She's like a biologist and a psychologist, and it was called Sexing the Body. And it fucking blew my mind. Like,
Especially because it's so like there's scientific side, and then the
yeah,
God,
the
like
way that
two
we're
opposite.
like socialized. Like, you
Yeah.
come out the womb and they're like, it's a boy. But like, you decide if you're a boy or a girl, or if you're even gonna conform to any gender. Like, just like like you said, like the body has so many complexities, and just society's like impulse to just put you in one of
Like
two
a class.
categories. Yeah. Like,
It's because
freaking insane.
that's the only way we can interpret it and understand it is if we put it into these classes. Like I feel like that with DJing, like for a long time I was like organizing my music by the gig, and then as time came on, like I started organizing it by genre, because at the time it's like way easier. I'm like, oh, okay, if I want to hear like hip hop shit or like neo soul or whatever, I'll just go to this folder, easy, pick it out, you know. And it's just through light, like it's just easier. And I can see why society does that, you know, like
put you in a box.
And
put
we're
you in a
also
box.
for the longest time, all we really had to go off of was what we could physically empirically see, and we at the time we couldn't see like chromosome levels and whatnot. Now we're starting to get to a point where that's changing a lot more, but we're like, you don't even realize it how much your vision really affects what you perceive. Like there's I can't remember the name of the effect right now, or the illusion, but there's an illusion out there where you can hear the word, like I think it's the sound ha, but with your mouth be making the sound pa, and even though you're saying ha, because the person who's hearing you sees pa coming from your lips, they actually hear your visual stimulus overrides your hearing, and they hear pa. And so it's this crazy effect, and I've actually seen it happen. There's a video on YouTube. I wish I could remember the name of it, but if you just like Google "pa ha" visual illusion or something like that, you'll pop up.
Yeah, dang, this conversation got hella deep real fast.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's all about going deep, son.
I know.
It's about going deep, as we've established on,
Like
on the
PiNaYs.
Astronauts by Night.
Let's get deep.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, moving on. Dope. Okay, before I invited Mykie to come on this podcast, I emailed her and asked her what she'd like to bring to the table for all of us to talk about. And I got it open right here. And one of the things that she brought up is artistic license and separating the artist from the art. And I was kind of wondering if you would be down to elaborate on that. Maybe we could like talk about this as well. Being an artist myself, you know what I'm saying?
So, I don't know where, this came from, I was tweeting with a few homies about, like, Floyd Mayweather, and, like, they were like, oh, you only ride for him because of his beef with Manny, and you only ride for Manny, or you only ride against him because of Manny, and, like, I was like, for me, he's a boxer. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and he is a domestic abuser. And for me, it's hard to separate seeing him in the ring from understanding that he uses those same strengths and those same skills and abilities against a likely defenseless or relatively defenseless woman, and who he claims to love. And like, I noticed that, like, RJ's a huge music head, and like, I told him that I won't listen to certain people, or I won't like really fuck with certain artists if their message doesn't add up with
how
who they
act,
are,
yeah.
right? Like, if your politics are one thing, but then your music is conscious and shit. Like, I don't really fuck with J. Cole. Like, I fuck with his music, but I'm not like super fan or anything. And everybody's like, oh, he's conscious. You need to have a certain level of intelligence to really understand his music. And I'm like, I get his music, but I also get that he's hella conscious when it comes to race, just like Azalea Banks. But when it comes to women, like, he still has a way to go. Like, he's still very sexist. And that's why, like, I'll listen to his music and I'll vibe to it. Like, I like his sound, but I don't fuck with him, like, heavy.
Yeah.
And, like, I fucking love you. And then I hear, like, songs about, like, just, like, really graphic, violent lyrics.
Yeah.
And, like, it doesn't make me love you as a friend or as an artist any less, but I just see those two as separate. Like, I see Cozy the rapper as separate from Cozy my homie. And, like, I always wonder, is that artistic license, or is that, and I'm not just about you, but just about, like, artists in general. Like, is that artistic license? I know, like, from poetry that you have license to take on other people's perspectives, or like just to make a statement, or to be extremely outlandish to make a statement. And I just wonder, like, I still haven't figured out how to navigate that. And I wonder sometimes, like, is that really how you're feeling? Is that, like, you being extreme to get a point across, or is that just lyrics?
It is artistic license. For me, I believe people are other people. You know, you can be this guy, you can be that guy, and as an artist, for me, it is kind of that thing where, like, I separate myself from real life and myself in the studio, or myself when I'm, like, writing down lyrics or trying to create something. Me creatively, it's kind of different because, like, yeah, I do talk about, like, some, like, fucking fucked up shit. Like, I'm very graphic, very visual. I like to describe things in certain ways, you know, romanticize situations, exaggerate parts of my personality and parts of my imagination.
Is it satirical? Whoa. Is it
Guys, sorry.
blown up here?
Yeah.
Is it satirical, or is it exaggeration? Is it like
exaggeration?
So it's
like
some
say,
things that you feel and you just take it further.
Okay, I think this quote is from fucking Terrence McKenna, right? He says that we live in the condensations of our imagination. He's talking about all the things around us that are real. Somebody had to imagine up. Somebody had to think. Like, somebody had to think about making this mic, and he made it happen. Mm-hmm. For me, my music is an exaggeration of my imagination. So if I think about something, I'll like hold on to that thought for a really long time, and I'll think of different ways of describing it and how to put it. And sometimes I don't like to explain to people. Or for me, at least, I don't like to explain like my lyrics to people. I kind of like to let people like figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
So some things I say like may come off as like misogynistic, but there's always more to it, and I'm always interested in seeing like what other people think about it. Like
Yeah, like.
for example, I have this song called Makeup, where I come off as like a sexual deviant who has
I think I heard it.
yeah, this song called Makeup, where I come off as like some sexual deviant who has this pretty much like a sex slave, like a girl.
Oh yeah,
Some
I did hear this.
some 50 Shades of Grey stuff.
Yeah, and for the longest time, I put it on like my first album, this album called Self Suicide,
Yeah, I did hear it.
and I put it out there. And I kind of just like let people listen to it. I just never explained to us. I waited a really long time before like somebody asked, "Yo, what's up with that song? Like, why is it so fucking
Morbid.
heavy?" And
Yeah.
I told maybe like 5 people this, but that song is actually about graffiti. Yeah, that song is actually about graffiti. That's why it's called Makeup, because you know, like you painting your
Yeah.
face. I mean, I even say it's kind of obvious if you listen to the song. Vocabulary is my weaponry.
Yeah.
It's about graffiti, and I personified like graffiti artist. He uses like a can,
Yeah.
you know. So I thought about, okay, what if this girl was the can? What if this girl is the wall and I'm putting on her makeup? Okay, how could I paint an image in somebody's head from just my words, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that whole thing too. Like a lot of my songs are like that. And a lot of times too, I'll just write. You know, you ever like free write? You have like free writing exercise where you kind of just like throw up on paper
Yeah.
and stuff. I'll do that too, and I'll
Word
turn those
vomit.
into songs. And there's no thought going into it. I'm just throwing up on the paper. I'm just throwing up on the page, just getting my shit out there, and then I'll add meaning to it later, even after I record it.
So
I'll do
you
that
listen
too.
you listen to
I'll listen.
these things that you create, and you're like, oh, you know what? I feel like this is how I feel now listening back on this thing, and this has this completely new meaning that I didn't even see when I was writing it or feel when I was writing it.
Exactly.
Kind of
That's my whole process.
Okay.
That's how I create a lot of the stuff. And a lot of that stuff is, I don't know, I guess you could call it violent. Maybe. I don't know. I'm really inspired by a lot of movies that I watch. Like
Scarface.
me and Josh, Decibel Grand, we started this thing called The Horror Show. And the whole concept of that album was, well, the whole concept of like the group The Horror Show was based on the movie A Clockwork Orange. If you've watched that movie or if you've read the book, it's a fucked up movie.
It's ridiculously fucked up.
It's incredibly fucked up. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of rape, and it's all about
They even talk about ultra violence throughout the story.
Yeah, so like that whole album, or that my whole like process of going into that was, okay, how ultra violent could I be with my lyrics?
Ah.
And I'm totally not that guy in real life. You know, I don't hate women. I'm not a misogynist.
I know.
I don't fucking like, I've never killed anybody. You know, I've never hit a girl. I've never, you know, it's just.
I think you're just tapping into like a really, really back there subconscious in the back of your mind. And he's kind of like seeing how, I guess, the limit is. Because, of course, you can't do that shit in real life.
Yeah,
you know?
he's putting himself into other people's mind states kind of thing. Where
I'm very emphatic. Is that a word?
Emphatic.
Emphasis?
It sure is.
Empathy.
Empathetic.
Trying to put myself.
Empathetic.
Yeah, so I'll put myself in like somebody's shoes, or I'll make up a character in my head.
Yeah.
How could this character could be like a good or fucked up, or like a misogynist, or
like role playing.
Yeah, it is like
like what I do when I play D&D, where I made this rogue. And he's actually a healer, and he doesn't like anyone to know that he's a healer.
I like that comparison.
So what he does, because he doesn't want people to know that he heals people, what he does is he enchants magical coins, and then he chucks them at people when they need health. Boom!
Exactly.
It's a made-up thing, and then you play it like that.
Yeah.
No, that's one of my favorite things. That's one of my favorite things about role-playing games is being able to like come up with this character, and then like for this limited amount of time, this 2 to 5 hour period of time where you're someone's telling you a story and you're getting to make decisions as somebody that isn't yourself.
Holy
and so
shit.
like you're doing this like with your music.
He like just took what he wanted to convey out.
Yo, I really want to play that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I've never
fucking-
done it before. Like, I think it'd be really fun.
I'm a horrible GM, but I can probably put together a game if you really want to do some
and
stuff.
like going back to like the music side of things, that was kind of my whole thing. It's like like what is that Fuji song? Everybody got a mask. How long does it last? I'll put a mask on. Even when I go on stage, I feel like I'm a completely different person. It doesn't matter if it's rapping or like DJing, like because I'm a kind of like a self-contained guy. I keep to myself a lot. I'm really quiet, but when I'm on stage, I'm like,
it's like different.
It's like
your alter ego.
It's like it's kind of like
Sasha
that.
Fierce.
Yeah. The only difference is I don't have a mask to hide behind.
So many comedians do the same thing on stage, like
get her done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
I mean
guy.
that's the character that's being played by the guy. Pee Wee Herman is a character played by that actor. We actually brought down a comedian that goes by the stage name of Neil Hamburger, and he's like we hung out with the guy. He's normal, cool, absolutely amazing, cool guy. Gets on stage as this character named Neil Hamburger, and completely different. He starts talking like this, and he has this joke cadence that goes very much like. And it's completely different, but it's absolutely hilarious because he created this character of Neil Hamburger, and he goes and tells these jokes that like he himself couldn't tell in the same way.
Yeah.
And that I think where comedy strays a lot from the creative side of music is we do the same kind of things, but we do it more for a satirical value.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons why Chappelle got fed up with Hollywood and like
People weren't
ran
getting
off.
that it was satire.
Yeah, like he had a lot of racist like, we agree, fuck those black people, and he's like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to point out how ridiculous it is that these people are like this.
Yeah.
And like we do that all the time. There's so many comedians who do it through
greatest
satire.
of all time. That fucking black white supremacist shit. Holy shit, that was fucking genius.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, the blind black white supremacist.
Yeah. KKK guy.
So good. Yeah, it's just I feel like with everything, even when I DJ, I feel the same way. Like I'm a different person when I'm on stage.
You're on that stage and everybody's watching
everyone's
you. Like,
watching
who are you gonna
it's
be?
It's crazy. Like no matter how small the show is, I'm still so fucking nervous right before, and I have to drink. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be so in my head, and then I'm not gonna play well,
Yeah.
But yeah, like what he was saying, it's like and that's I feel like how people who do listen like to the horror show, for example, like they identify with that, like creating a different character, because sometimes maybe their life maybe at the time life is kind of boring, and it's all for entertainment. Like some artists just do it.
It's me trying to entertain myself too as well, because I work a fucking 9 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Exactly. It's a creative outlet.
Sucks.
Yeah, because like I'm all about like some subconscious lyrics. I love like all that shit. But sometimes I don't give a fuck, and just I want to hear any kind of ratchet shit.
Yeah, like,
that's just
play some gangsta shit.
Yeah,
Like some
exactly.
gangsta shit, yeah.
Because that's what he tells me all the time. Like,
and it's not like it's been done before. Like Eminem, he has Marshall Mathers and he has Slim Shady.
Beyonce,
and
Spears.
the thing is, most of these characters come out of necessity. Like you said, you feel like you can't perform on stage without being really drunk because the pressure's too much there.
Yeah.
So what a lot of performers do is they create this character, and they're like, okay, it's not me on stage, and if they don't like what I'm doing on stage, well, then they don't like this character. It's not that they don't like me, it's that they don't like this character that I'm portraying.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's crazy. Like, I think, who was I just talking to? I was talking to Catherine about Blue. Because when Blue came here, he was such a dick.
That's what... Okay,
Yeah, he's kind of a dick. He's a douchebag.
I was a huge fan of him.
Me too.
And this is the only artist that I had that problem, like trying to separate the two. Like I still to this day I cannot get over the fact how much of a dick he was.
Yeah.
And now I can't even listen to his shit. Like it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound the same.
I think it was Jake who tried to take a picture with him, and
He's like, nah, man, I only take pictures with bitches.
What
the fuck?
That's what he said. That's what Jake told me he said.
And like,
I mean, I've heard like personal shit about him that like makes sense, but at the same time, like, yeah, no.
It just ruined it for me. I can't even listen to Below the Heavens anymore. That used to be my favorite album.
And it's a classic.
I cannot even listen.
Dude, I haven't listened to
I'm so like tainted by that experience. I was like, fuck this guy.
Well, that's actually
that.
that same scenario is actually a pretty popular thought experiment that happens in psychology and philosophy a lot of times. Is like, okay, you know, what if Hitler was like an amazing artist?
Yeah.
You know, would you still be able to appreciate his work with all the horrible things that he did?
Yeah.
You know, can you separate an artist, like an artist's art, from the person that created that art?
I feel like the people that were following him were totally into it. Like, oh shit, he's doing bad shit, but I still support him. You know, like I feel like that's how it was.
Part of it too was that, like, you got to look at the way Germany was at the time of that thing. Like, it was so ridiculously impoverished. People were eating all this stuff, and he basically came forward and like saved.
He was the hope.
He saved Germany for lack of a better term. Like, he straight up saved Germany. The thing is, he also had another agenda.
Yeah,
and at that point, they were so far along that people were just either straight up trusting him, or like some were, I'm sure, were scared to speak up because he had so much power so quickly.
And it's so crazy because like when I was younger, I used to be like, that's so fucked up, you know, like a kid, so fucked up, you know. But now, like, I'm like, damn, these people really believed in him. Like, they really saw him as a hope. You know, he was the greatest.
mean, I really believed in Obama.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
I thought that's what you were talking about.
Oh no. No, but even to this day, it's like that now, like with politics and stuff like that. But anyway.
So what do you think, Mykie? Like, okay, you know my artistic process. You know that I separate myself from who I am on stage and in the studio.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it is like socially irresponsible for me to have these kinds of lyrics? Because I don't know who's listening to my stuff. What if like a 10-year-old kid's like listening to my music? You know, what kind of... Because
someone who won't understand.
Yeah, I fight with myself a lot sometimes. Like, the shit that I'm putting out, does it negatively affect the environment around me because I'm putting it out there? But at the same time, I feel like, that's like my artistic responsibility to express myself how I see fit. Yeah. And if I try to censor myself, I wouldn't be fulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, doing that.
And that's one of the great arguments about art too, is this idea that like not everyone is in a place where they can handle the expression that is there. They're not going to see the exaggeration or the satire or whatever it is that you're trying to express. And that's part of what comes in with censorship is that, you know, people are saying, you know, if you have actual like free press and thought and whatnot, and you're able to say whatever, that means there's also going to be a lot of bad things that come out, whether it's misinterpreted and they don't see what you're actually trying to say, or it's genuinely like fuck the Jews kind of thing. You know, like you get both sides in this idea of free thought. And so if you want true free thought, free expression, you don't want censorship, you're also going to have to be able to put up with these other things that are there, which will oftentimes come from misinterpretation of things that like people generally think about a lot.
Yeah.
I think with any art, like poetry, music, even like something on canvas, like once you put something out there as an artist, you know, like it's open to any kind of interpretation. Like people hear what they want to hear. People hear whatever they see their experiences. Yeah. Like their views are shaped by their experiences. So they're going to interpret it in whatever way they are able. And it's still something that I struggle with, like, which is kind of just why I wanted to ask about it. Yeah. Like, am I not being sophisticated enough of a listener or viewer or whatever if I fail to see the subliminal message or the whatever you're actually trying to get across? Or is it that the music isn't, or whatever isn't being obvious enough? But then it's like, that's fucking art, you know? Yeah, there's that too. And like I always feel like I always like want to explain myself, like my lyrics and stuff, but I feel like it takes away from it itself. Like Rap you know Genius. What I'm saying? Like I'm so torn about Rap Genius. Like yeah, I've been listening to their podcast too. They have like really dope guests on too. But yeah, Rap Genius, basically this website that tries to like break down rap lyrics with its own like
I don't know,
through its
definition,
lens.
like
Through its lens. So like you were talking earlier, like we all
Their
see the
own
world and
interpretation.
we all see the world through our lens.
Like, I wanna-
and my lens is different from your guys'
yeah,
lens.
and like whoever writes that, that's from their perspective. But if I
Right.
listen to the song, I want to have like my own opinion on it, my own thoughts on the song.
Exactly.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. And it's like, I want to raise a generation of critical thinkers, like, and music with a less obvious message is just like a part of that. So I don't know if I'm just being too lazy or if, you know.
Well, I mean, I think part of the problem too is the fact that like we have this like rash of uncritical thinking that's going through, well, the world really, but I mean,
Right.
particularly it's very visible in the United States, where it's just people are like, I don't want to think about it. I just
Yeah.
want to be told, or I'm just gonna interpret it straight the way I see it, or whatever, and it's not being thought about. And
Yeah.
it's hard to get someone. It's hard to get a group of people to go from not thinking to like having to think, because it's like the saying ignorance is bliss. When you're not thinking about it, like you're fine, everything's going great. But then when you actually sit down and start thinking about things, like a lot of really intense thinkers are nihilist or depression heavy and whatnot, because when you sit there and think about stuff, like it takes a piece of you with it.
Well, and I think like we just want to fucking know. Like, we're not comfortable sitting in the unknown. Like, I remember after I saw Inception, I was like, so was he fucking dreaming or not?
Yeah,
Like,
did the
is she
fucking-
alive?
did the fucking top fall or
did
what?
It fall
You
or
know?
does it
Had
keep
that little
going?
wobble, but
Yeah, it did,
it
but it
came
did.
back
So
up. It came
yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
But that's
to
the
this
thing.
day that bothers me.
That's the thing with movies like that, though. When it ends like that, like it
Fucking
gets you
Martin
thinking.
Scorsese.
It gets you
Yeah,
coming up with
no.
all this stuff. Like did you
Yeah.
watch Birdman?
Yes, I love
Yo,
Birdman
the ending.
so
if you've never
much.
seen Birdman, you gotta watch it because it's the same thing. Like the ending is like open to
Like
interpretation.
Birdman hand rub.
What? Birdman hand rub? What is that?
Never mind. Moving on.
Okay. Birdman was this flick. It stars Michael Keaton, and he's basically this washed-up actor who was
He played a character called Birdman, who was
Yeah.
this like superhero.
like Iron, like the fucking poster had like the Iron Man font and shit. It's so stupid. But he's trying to find his place in the world of acting by putting on this writing, directing, and starring in his own very Broadway play.
Yeah, he wants to be relevant as an actor and be thought of as more than just this character that he played.
And then throughout the movie, it's like there's points of the movie, yo, is this for real or is this
Is
his
he hallucinating?
imagination?
Yeah.
Is he hallucinating? And in
See,
the
I
end,
love reading books like that.
Yeah, me
so
too.
it's like one of those things. Like some things are best left not explained because it forces you to think critically about
Right.
Yeah.
And see,
what
and
you're
that's-
watching and like why do you think the person who created this, like what's he trying to get out of you? You know what I
Yeah, and I think that's where like having a more scientifically literate public comes into play, because like for going on a decade now, I've been very trying to be as critical as I can about what's what I'm interpreting, and the thing about that is like it takes a lot to become uncomfortable with to become comfortable with not knowing. Like one of the things like when you really start to get into science is you realize that like nothing is 100%. Everything has a degree of flaw, and when science says something is true or correct,
means that the theory hasn't failed tests.
Yeah, exactly. It's like until evidence is brought up that shows it wrong. Like there's like there's enough evidence to call it correct with a margin of error. And eventually there may be something that comes up that says, oh, this throws this whole theory out the window. We can't explain things this way anymore. Like there's new evidence right now that's currently going through peer review that says that the Big Bang never happened. It's just this strange infinity that we can't really explain still yet. And so there is no beginning to the universe. And it's going through peer review. They're finding out all this new stuff about it. But if the evidence gathers enough to this, everything about the Big Bang Theory will get thrown out. And that's what I love about science, is that it changes its dynamic like that.
Yeah.
Yo, science. Word up. Yep. Okay, next thing. Well, okay, let's move on to like one of the things I wanted to talk to Mykie about too was like, what did I?
Are you gonna ask me about demilitarization?
Is that what you want
I'm
to talk
interested.
about?
No.
Yeah. Oh, I'm interested in hearing like that one and
If you don't want to talk
Hawaiian
about it, we don't
sovereignty.
I mean, I can talk about it. I don't know. Like, I'm not comfortable with talking about things that I can't provide a solution. I'm like a solver, like a problem solver, and like I don't have all the answers, especially when it comes to demilitarization. Like when you were like, well, doesn't that leave us more vulnerable to like being a territory or
that too.
a colony?
And
or
there was
other...
just I read an article maybe like I think it was like maybe Monday or sometime earlier this week where China apparently is willing to arm the Native Hawaiian like separatist movement, the people that want to have the Kingdom of Hawaii. They're saying that China is willing to arm the Hawaiian sovereignty movement people in retaliation for some arms deals that the U.S. sold weapons to Taiwan or something. You know, there's stuff like that. You know, like
well, see, part of the problem, at least in my logic, part of the problem that I see there is we would be moving from a United States controlled sovereignty to like a puppet sovereignty of Hawaiian, where realistically it's still being backed by China, even if the head or whatever is still Hawaiian. If they didn't build that arming and that defense themselves, then it's still like it would be like become like a puppet state, kind of like how Cuba was for a long time a puppet state of the USSR.
Well, I've heard Kanaka scholars speak on this idea that like, well, I mean, for one, the colonizer is always going to address threats of movements for sovereignty with threats of scarcity. Like, we always hear like, oh, well, if it wasn't the U.S., then it would have been somebody else, or have fun being a third world country, or like,
yeah, they bring up like the economy that like
exactly
the military presence brings in being a part of the United States, and
it's like the Hawaiian Kingdom was an internationally recognized sovereign country. Like, it wasn't something that the U.S. always had. Like, it was recognized by what was then England, and it was like the second most literate country in the world. I think the first was like Sweden or Norway or something.
Well, the thing to remember about that though is that those things only came about because of Western influence. Like, if
but
the Hawaiian kings and queens would never have gone to Europe without being taken there by European ships. And most of the reason, I mean,
enough time.
well,
yeah,
enough time. But realistically, what the reason that they became a
right, but that
recognized
doesn't mean
thing,
that we owe it to the U.S.
No, and I'm
to
not
be
saying that either.
A state,
right? And I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying that. Hawaiian sovereignty is one of those issues. I know I'm going to be playing devil's advocate here, so like I don't really feel one way or the other because I don't know enough about the subject. But just so you know, throughout this conversation, I'm going to be playing a little bit of devil's advocate.
That's fine.
So
I just wanted to say, like, Kanaka scholars have considered that. Like, this isn't new to them, and they feel that, say, China were to arm the sovereignty movement, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be in their back pocket. Like, they understand that we are in the middle of the Pacific. We are a crucial
strategic point in the
exactly, for any like military or economic like whatever function. But they feel like even if it were another superpower, there might have been the option for greater independence. Like, they might have not been a state. They might still be an independent country or maybe a territory, but they just feel like there would be more room for independence. And I don't think, if China's trying to arm the Native Hawaiian sovereignty movement to get back at the U.S. for arming Taiwan, like, I feel like that's in contracts we call it consideration, but I guess that would be like the bargain for exchange in itself. Like, I hadn't heard of that, but yeah.
Well, again, playing devil's advocate, what's to stop? Like, let's say China does arm them, the Hawaiian sovereignty movement goes through, we become an independent state, and then China starts saying, oh, you know, we want to do some of this stuff. And what is to stop China from, like, if let's say the sovereignty movement disagrees, and like, oh, we're not going to let you do that, and then what's to stop China from going, okay, well, we're just going to use our masses to come in and just take it?
well, they had already armed us. I don't like to live in, like, I have a contracts professor, and like in all my other classes, people are always like, oh, well, what if the fact pattern was this? And what if the fact pattern was this? And she's like, I don't live in the hypotheticals. And I'm like, you're fucking badass. Because we waste so much time like, well, what if this? What if this? What if this? And there's so many ways it could play out. And she's like, I don't fucking have time for your 1L bullshit. Like,
I'm all about
Google
the what
it.
ifs. For me, I'm all about the what ifs. Like, yo.
I get that. Like, you need to
believe it.
consider that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't possibly answer that shit.
Like, here's like one of the what ifs I had this week. What if we lived in. What if, okay, in ancient Hawaii, they had this system of like religious laws called the kapu system. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking like a couple days ago, what if we had the kapu system today? One of the laws is you couldn't be, okay, in the presence of a king, an ali'i, if you will, you couldn't be at head height with him. You couldn't touch his shadow. You couldn't like look at him sometimes. You couldn't wear red and yellow, which were like signs that you were, the royal colors that you were silently, or, you know, and if you broke any of these laws, they would fucking kill you. You stepped on, like, okay, like if I stepped on like Obama's shadow or something, like they would fucking off me. If I was taller than Obama, I mean, like, I'm a short guy. I'm 5'7". I don't have to worry about that, I guess.
But you gotta worry about the shadow,
But if,
though.
like, because it comes to Hawaii kind of often. Like, what if I run into him and I was like 6'4"? Well, I don't know how tall Obama is. If he's the king. It's hypothetical.
That's why I don't wonder
imagine?
what
like,
if.
You know, I'm not calling him like a fucking like Hawaiian king or whatever. But I'm talking about like the top dog, the guy that runs this country kind of shit.
I don't think the idea is to go completely revert back to like the ancient system. Like,
that's why I said what if.
If you read like Marx's theory on communism, we go from like that stage to where everything is communal, but there's still like primitive. Well, that's fucking terrible of me to say, but there's still like primitive like elite systems, and then you go to feudalism, and then you go to capitalism, and then you go. So it's like a progression
stages
to socialism, which is the pathway to communism. And it's like I just feel like I feel like people think that all of these Native Hawaiian sovereignty movement activists are like just bradas and sisters from Waianae who are like, give us the land back. But like we have Kanaka scholars at the law school. We have them getting their PhD. Like they're studying all this shit. Like all these what ifs that we have, like they've been considering it.
They've considered it.
So I trust the process. And if I see and I understand, especially from my point of privilege as a settler colonialist, I understand this need for sovereignty and like true liberation of all people, but especially the people who are indigenous to this land. And I know they're hard at work, and so are allies like myself. So I'm not especially concerned about too many what ifs right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of them, like they understand we can't just gain sovereignty and then like the Philippines, like we can't just model this new society or this new government after the US or whatever power we cede from. Like it's just gonna be a vicious cycle, and I know a lot of them realize that, so I trust the process.
Do you know, like, what is the specific interest in gaining the sovereignty? Like, why do they want sovereignty?
So the military controls 25% of all of Hawaii's land, and because of the military, like Hawaii Independent, they did a study. They did like a full, because they do a lot of sociological, and a lot of people have criticisms of sociology because they say we don't use numbers and like social sciences. So they did the numbers, and if we were to demilitarize, housing would go down, cost of living would go down. So much more land and housing would be available to people who need it, families who have rights to this land. I don't think it's cool that the military owns 25% of the land and they take up a lot of the housing, even though there's barracks and shit. Like, they don't live on, so many of them don't live on the barracks. And yet,
in
30 to
of that,
40% of the houseless population is Native Hawaiian. So I just can't see that as okay.
Well, well, in defense of that too, like I was in the Marines. I'm born and raised here, but I was in the Marines. I got sent to San Diego, a bunch of other different places. I served in Iraq. Like, I lived in the barracks the entire time I was in there, and mainly because I wasn't a high enough rank to get what's called BAH, basic allowance for housing. And I'm not going to lie, like if I could have moved out of the barracks, because the barracks suck. If I could have, I would have loved to have gone and lived out in town and instead lived on my own.
Exactly. And you guys have better benefits than most people who live here. You guys have you at least have a stable income. You have
for sure
a good income relatively.
That you could afford
and
that shit.
Yeah, exactly. And like so many like we just had hella friends, like just in the last 6 months, had to move, and they've grown up here, and like
cost of living is fucking crazy. That's all,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And well, I mean, I guess the second follow-up question to that too is because, like, okay, so if that's the kind of things that they want, there's been other sociological studies and programs not focused on a Hawaiian sovereignty thing that say, like, if we, change, and again, this gets into demilitarization, if we shifted some of the tax money that's going towards the military towards more social projects, all of the homeless people in all of the United States could be housed, clothed, and fed, and be taken care of, and be able to get back on their feet so that they can sustain themselves. And there's certain areas that have shown, by doing this, by moving tax allocation into these places, I want to say New Mexico did this at one point, where they just they shifted some of the funding, and they literally got rid of pretty much all of their homeless population. And so that's another benefit of maybe not complete demilitarization, but scaling back. I mean, one of the problems that I see, one of the big problems that I see with the Hawaiian state government is that we are incredibly reliant on two things. Tourism is our biggest income, and then the second biggest income is military. Like you said, it owns about 25% of the land. It's also close to like 30% of all the income that comes into the state.
Right.
And local business is only down at like 10 or 15%. The rest is all pretty much tourism.
And I guess like demilitarization and sovereignty obviously isn't just about money. It's the fact that the military has completely destroyed sacred sites, and the military and tourism, they feed each other. Like, they are completely interdependent. And the fact that like Hawaii was a self-sustaining country, like it was independent, and the fact that if say like the ships were to strike again or whatever, whoever brings our food and shit, we live on a fucking island chain, and we would not be able to sustain our population for more than a week. That's how dependent we are on imported food and shit that we don't need. Like, and demilitarization is not just about houses and money, like
economic stuff.
It's about
like social.
A culture and a people cannot thrive without access to their land. And I think that for me, that is what's the most heartbreaking thing for me. Like, genocide isn't just physical, it's cultural, it's statistical. Like, we find so many ways to just erase Native Hawaiians, and it's completely sickening to me, and that's why I am completely pro-demilitarization.
So I got another thought experiment here, and we're going to kind of go into some what ifs, and we're just going to see, I'd like to see where it takes each of us. This just kind of popped into my head. So let's say that there's realistically no chance that sovereignty is going to happen. physically. But there's also, especially right now with technology progressing the way there's this growing digital social area. Could you imagine a place where the Hawaiian people, the Hawaiian culture lived on through digital technologies?
No.
And no?
No.
Well, their culture was based off living off the land, right?
Well, right.
Like the streams and stuff, like the streams were like the water coming from the streams was like a really important thing, and that's kind of one of the things that like went away when all the militarization started happening. Like the colonizers came in and started building all this stuff. Like a lot of those streams like don't exist anymore, so it's kind of difficult to see how
Yeah.
they would sustain themselves.
Like I feel the same way. Like I feel like even with Filipino culture, any kind of culture, especially ones that hold on to such traditions and stuff like that, they're so well rooted into the land that they are, grown up upon. Mm-hmm. And if you cut off those roots physically, the culture itself will die. Yeah. And
like a tree.
Yeah, like and that's exactly what it is. It's like a tree. Yeah, and like for instance, like music, like we still have records and stuff. We still have guitars and everything that is made from, like the land. It's physical, Mm-hmm. We can't just solely rely on digital. Like there needs to be a balance. I'm not saying that we can't live without technology, but I'm saying there has to be a balance between the two, There
has to be some sort of connection to the roots. Yeah. And I'm giggling because like I'm staring straight forward and there's like the roots record. And it's fucking vinyl. What you think about that? Record. That too, yeah. Have there's got to be a solid foundation for a culture to thrive, and that comes with knowledge and history, because without it, like, what the fuck is it? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what
and I guess, I feel like thinking that interaction via technology is anything like social interaction is a very colonial or just deculturalized
it removes the connection. Like I know they're making a connection, but it's not a real connection.
It's a different kind. Yeah. And there's things like I just listened to a giant report on I don't know if you remember back, and I want to say it was a couple years ago, mm-hmm. where it got released that Facebook was experimenting on all of its users and doing all these tests. And
there was a lawsuit on that.
Which, when you find out what was actually going on, the lawsuit is kind of ridiculous. But one of the things that they were experimenting was taken the wrong way. Like it was kind of taken out of context. They listened to a podcast / radio program called Radiolab. And they recently put out a report about that experimentation, quote unquote, that was going on. And one of the things that they were talking about was they were trying to find a solution. One of the experiments they're running is these trying to make the digital social media more like actual physical social interaction. Mm-hmm. And so they were getting a lot of requests to have pictures removed. And so instead of doing it themselves, they created programs so that the person could report an image, and then instead of it going straight to Facebook, they would get popped up things like, why do you want this removed? Mm-hmm. Here, ask the person yourself. Yeah. And then if you're still having a problem, if they don't take it down, all this stuff. And they're trying to make it more like you're having a conversation with that person who would put up a picture that you want removed. Yeah. And that's the kind of experiments that was going on. Yeah. And they're trying to they're using this giant source for their testing, if you will, to come up with things that are able to make social media more like actually talking with a person in person. Mm-hmm. And so, excuse me. And when I put forward the question of, could the Hawaiian culture still live on in some sort of digital realm? Mm-hmm. Like, you got to think, too, eventually we're going to have virtual realities. Oh, yeah. And I guess one of the things that I wanted to ask, but we'll get to it when she gets back, or maybe we'll be past it by that point, was like, what happens? Let's say, does the Hawaiian sovereignty movement have any plans if this doesn't go their way? I'm
sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
And I'd like to know what are those plans? Yeah. What do they have in mind?
We should get one of those like Kanaka scholars she's talking about.
That'd be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I would love
cool,
because like I said, I really don't know anything about this.
That and it's a very important issue being like because we live here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if stuff like this like is going on and you know
We don't really know that much
we don't
about
really
it.
know that much about it. I feel like we should as you know residents of Hawaii.
We're Kama'aina.
Kama'aina.
Yeah. I just know, like, you know, I just keep relating it back to, like, you know, how, you know, my culture, Filipino, you know, like, I just keep relating it back to that because we are a minority, you know, and, like, I don't know that much about the Samarti either, but, you know, like, that's why it's kind of enlightening to have her on and, like, kind of listen to her and stuff like that. But I'm sure they thought of everything. And, like, if they had figured out a solution, they would have been implementing it right now. Or maybe they could be in negotiating something right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, all of it kind of falls on a spectrum like everything does.
Yeah.
Because we do have Kanaka scholars and whatnot. But at the same time, we have idiots that are like, fuck white people.
Yeah, and that's what it is, like with everything. Like there's always gonna be that group of people that's just giving the rest of them a bad fucking rep, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just that's with everything, man. Like,
Douchebags.
yeah, well they
Douchebags.
they have like a crazy intention. I don't know. Like it's
And that's part of what part of the reason why like I don't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah, because they
is
turn you off, right?
Yeah, well,
it's just like, oh wow, that's
there's
hella crazy.
There's that part. There's that effect where I get turned off from the subject, and there's also that effect where like I didn't really know. Like I'm sure in the back of my head I knew that there was people that are
stuff
scholars.
going on,
Yeah, there's scholars that are thinking about these things,
but you didn't know
they're
how
not
deep.
nearly as vocal as the idiots are.
Yeah,
and that happens all the time where the idiots way outweigh
and that's how you know
the people
that
thinking.
Yeah, and that's how you know they're working is when they're the most quiet. You know what I mean? Like they got something going on.
Yeah, because we're not hearing about it, they're sitting there working more and more and more.
Yeah.
Real G's move in silence like a foreigner.
There you go.
So, well, that was a fun dive into the conversation here.
Yeah.
Should we move on to something else, or we still want to? You want to talk some more? You got anything else you want to talk about on that?
Let's get something like where Rihanna can chime in because
yeah.
Well, actually, I have a story here that I would like to hear more about here.
What is that?
It's from hiphopdx.com, and it's the curious case of Childish Gambino authenticity in the Grammys.
Donald Glover.
And yeah, I'm a huge fan of Donald Glover.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Not just as a creative identity, not just as as Childish Gambino.
You think he should be
whatnot.
Spider-Man? You know how they're making Spider-Man?
I would fucking love that so goddamn.
Yo,
I would like.
You see that comedy stand-up where he was talking about that? He's like,
Yeah, Weirdo. Oh, Weirdo was one of my favorite
Yeah.
comedy specials of all time. I'm a failed stand-up comedian. I used to be up on stage.
He kept distracting me when he keeps like pulling down his shirt. He's always doing. I don't know if it's just me, but I noticed it all the time. Like he just.
Listen. I have just the audio. Listen to just the audio. It's listen to it like you're listening to a podcast. It's It's by far. It's one of the best albums I've heard in comedy albums that I've heard in a long time. It's so original and unique, and it has this incredible comedic style to it. It's so good, and his hip hop is amazing too.
Yeah,
he is one of them. Like I said, I don't listen to a lot of music, but because the internet came out, I went and bought the special edition vinyl that came with a script that you're supposed to read along with it and all this. Oh yeah, no, I'll let you listen to it, dude.
What?
Yeah, no, it's so fucking good. Like it's just an amazing, great album. And he got snubbed during the Grammys completely.
Oh, Donald Glover.
Yeah,
I don't
Childish
think people
Gambino.
get him yet.
They don't get him. Like they don't know what he is because he's on a TV show. He's a stand-up comedian and he's a rapper.
Yeah.
They're trying to like.
I don't think they've. I don't think they've embraced his music yet.
It's crazy because like when he came down here, it was such a sold out show, and I was really surprised.
I wanted tickets so bad, and I couldn't get them.
I was so surprised. Yeah. Like I was closing for him, and I had a hard time getting tickets for my friends, you know, and like it really shocked me. Like, damn, there really is like a high demand for him here, you know, and it was sold out. I think that's the second show that they sold out for, and G-Eazy is the next one. But it's just he's really pushing the envelope. It's really cool, you know, like not just as a stand-up comedian, but as an actor.
He's incredibly inventive as a creative identity.
He is like Donald Glover is an identity, and it's crazy, and I don't know. I appreciate his kind of hip hop, I guess, because he's not like how everything else is. You know, it's completely different.
It's not those party songs.
Yeah,
constantly.
And he does have some.
Yeah, he does.
But it's like.
But
it's satire.
It's not the dominant.
Yeah,
it's not the dominant form of his creative
Yeah.
intention. Which on our first episode we were talking about how a lot of hip hop now and rap and whatnot is moving to this
Club
like
bangers.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like there used to be such intelligence and thought provoking subjects.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about all of Donald Glover's works, whether it's his comedy, his music, his acting. They're all. I think what makes him so great is he's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah.
And he uses that intelligence to inform his expression of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it causes you to think about stuff. And that's what I think we need to get back. I think obviously because they're writing reports about this and doing all kinds of articles and whatnot, like more and more people want to see that level of commitment to the creative art form. And yet things like the Grammys just aren't recognizing them.
It's
Hip
weird.
hop wasn't at the Grammys at all this year, though. Let's be honest.
Man,
I don't even watch it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
anything
it's
about
like
that.
it's weird. It's like a love-hate thing, like award shows.
Award shows,
you
yeah.
know?
I don't.
Like Grammys.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's like
it
it's
was
all
them
like voted on by like a
hosting-
committee, right?
Yeah.
Of
Well,
people
like,
Just
like
like
coordinate-
the
Hokus.
Yeah, like
What it is
Shit,
just
right now,
it's
juice.
a lot of it is just different strokes for different folks. That's what it is. That's
Well,
what it comes down to, you know? Like
Yeah.
people like different things. Like what if we were to judge the Grammys like 10 years from now, you know? Like the kids like we could be those kids right now sitting down here like fuck that. Like whatever they voted on wasn't cool, you know? And that's what it always comes down to, and that's why like I don't think so hard anymore about like why people get chosen for stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the
You
things that
know?
I think a lot
like
of people
Nas never won.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
one of the things that I think a lot of people forget is that like most award shows are modeled off of the Oscars. That was like the original award show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the reason that they created the Oscars was to promote movies.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about who did great
Yeah.
and whatnot. It wasn't about self-artistic expression.
I had no idea about
It was
that.
about promoting the movies so that more people went and saw
Yeah.
movies.
That's why they have like a season. Like there's an Oscar season. There's
Yeah,
a certain
it's
point in
award
time where
season,
you can
I think
We can
I
submit.
kind of like that goal more. Like, if it'd be cool if award shows could go back to that, because it's putting everyone on in a sense, you know.
Yeah,
it's promoting everyone, the bigger picture.
Yeah,
I guess,
it's lost.
You know?
It's lost this idea of promotion,
Yeah.
and it's now people tend like it's still about promotion, but
Yeah.
people think it's about art.
Yeah, like I feel like artists now, like they're not aiming to just make good music. Oh, I just want to win a Grammy. That's like their end goal nowadays. you know?
ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's just I can see that, but yeah, like award shows, I'm just like meh. What
Yeah.
you know, like
I just watch for the.
I
red
watch it.
carpet.
Yeah, I watch for like red carpet or like
Yeah.
the performances. That's
Yeah,
super
yeah.
cool. You know, I like that. Like when they put on other artists performing and stuff. That's like Missy Elliott, and that was just so funny with
Yes.
Super Bowl. But you know, like it's cool. Like yeah,
I hope
good.
she makes a comeback.
Yeah, no, she is. She's gonna do something.
Yeah, she's
with
working with like
Timbaland.
Skrillex
yeah,
and
Skrillex
Diplo.
and wait, and was it Jack? Was it Jack?
Jack U, yeah, Skrillex
yeah.
and Diplo.
Oh
They
yeah,
call it Jack
duh.
U.
I was listening to the K-Tronada remix of "Sock It to Me" last night, and I was like,
Tronada, who's that
Yeah.
motherfucker?
I played I've always been a big fan of Missy Elliott. Like even when I was like super young, saying I hated rap, it was so funny. But like last week, I played Shitty Bang. I played like a whole like Missy Elliott set, and it was amazing. And like I didn't even give a crap who like liked it or not. It's just it's so good. Like she was way progressive beyond
Yeah.
her time. Like
Hell
Her
it's,
yeah.
videos too, especially.
Yeah.
Yo,
Like
the
her-
fucking trash bag outfit. Yo,
her
like,
music and videos now is still relevant to this
Yeah.
day. It's
Some of the-
timeless.
Yeah.
I've heard her often called as like one of the, if not the queen of rap and hip hop.
She is.
somebody was like, "Fuck a femc." Like
Yeah.
Missy is one of the best hip hop artists
Yeah,
of all time.
pretty
Like,
much. Like I don't even give a shit about that femc thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's funny, but yeah, I love Missy Elliott. I'm excited to see what she comes out with. It's
I'm
about
super
time.
excited. And she was like tweeting like, "I've cried. Like I thought I was done. Like
She's
I didn't
so
think you
modest.
guys, like,
I never even knew she was
wanted me
done.
back." Yeah.
What?
I was like, "Bitch, you just
I know
up and left us."
she's it's probably like part of her whole marketing plan. Like her manager is like, "Yo, just act like you didn't even know that they wanted you." Like it's probably all a game. But
I'm excited for that.
yeah,
Okay, another topic I wanted to bring up. Maybe we could have like Riana chime in on this since she's a DJ too. But Mykie wanted to know more about being like a student of DJing.
Yeah.
She had no idea that this is something you study. Was that what it was?
Yeah, like
It's like a
I mean,
skill
I've
craft.
had like conversations where Cozy's just totally like blown my mind, like, cause he's so quiet all the time, and like I've never had a chance to like chop it up
Really, I
with him.
feel
Really,
like he needs to shut up. I'm kidding.
and like I just
A lot of shit.
tweeted like, cause I was in between books and I was like dying for something to read, and I was like, I just tweeted to my followers like, one book that changed your life, go. And Cozy replied with, last night a DJ saved my life, and I thought he was talking about the song, and I was
yeah.
like, you fucker.
Yeah.
And then he's
Yeah.
like,
No,
no,
it's
no,
really
it's
a
a
book.
book. And I was like, oh shit, like I never thought that I don't know. That was probably naive of me.
Okay, last night a DJ saved my life is like one of those. I don't know. I ordered it off a website when I first started DJing, and it's by this. Here, let me look
Came
up.
in the starter kit with learning how to DJ for
Turntables.
beginners.
Okay, no, check it out. The authors of Last Night a DJ Saved My Life wrote this book called How to DJ Right, and that How to DJ Right book came with my first set of turntables. It came with it, like they sent it with it.
The manual.
And
See,
so like
starter
yeah,
kit, I'm telling you.
that's pretty much how I learned how to DJ, because I didn't know
Yeah,
DJ.
the
I didn't know
mentor.
DJ Revise. I didn't know anybody. It was just me.
Yeah.
So what I would do, and this was like during the early days of like YouTube, so there wasn't really any like tutorials
yeah,
I could
yeah.
watch. So yeah, I have it. I gave it to Tron actually one time. I let him read it when
It's
he started.
lost.
Sorry. Yeah,
It's
okay.
gone.
No, okay, but it's what do you want, Brad?
That guy's funny.
It's by okay. Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. It's this book written by Bill Brewster and Frank Bruton, who also wrote How to DJ Right.
I see that.
And basically, it's the history of the disc jockey, starting from the invention of the phonograph all the way to the present day, from whenever it was published, I guess, to like hip hop and the rave scene. So it go through all these stages. Like it talked
Turning
about
the record player into a musical instrument.
yeah. It started with like like how all the radio disc jockeys would like start doing it, and they wouldn't like how we mix nowadays. It's a
Yeah.
fairly new technique. What they used to do was just flip the record, or they just have one.
play it.
Yeah, they
Tron,
just play
Tron
it,
just
you know?
texted me. He said,
actual
"Tell Cozy
vinyl.
I'm sorry. I have his book somewhere. It's somewhere." He says he's got.
Oh,
it.
he's watching.
Patreon.
Yeah.
No, because I was saying
I
like
just I
Tron
sent him
has
the
it,
link.
it's
He's
gone.
watching.
It's either he has it or I have it somewhere in my house too.
He says
Like, I don't know.
he has it somewhere.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's fine.
basically.
I'll just torrent it. No biggie.
No, yeah, but
Yeah, Rihanna has given up on you, Tron. She's like, here we're not getting it back.
But yeah, basically this Last Night a DJ Saved My Life book, you learn about like the history of DJing, like where it is, and like how all these what I really like, the most interesting part of it, I think, is about the hip hop DJ, because the hip hop DJ is unique in that hip hop DJing from inception wasn't about like being pigeonholed into this box. It was about like combining all of like your favorite music. It was like spinning anything you wanted. Fuck a genre. I'll play some fucking psych rock. I'll play some funk. I'll play some disco. I'll play whatever the fuck you want, you know. And
Fucking
it's
Bluegrass.
Were you at Republic Music Festival when DJ Muggs dropped
I was
Queen?
there. Yeah,
Fuck.
I was there.
Everybody was like, what the fuck?
Muggs was the realest motherfucker there too.
Yeah.
Honestly, well, no, Excision was there too, and he's fucking badass.
I really liked Pretty Low. Her stage presence was dope.
Oh yeah, the female DJ who opened
Yeah.
for Muggs. Yeah, she was sick too.
Yeah.
On some trapped out shit. But yeah,
She's just a DJ.
Yeah, she's just a DJ.
well, she's
Gender
also
irrelevant.
she's also a female. I'm saying. But yeah, the whole. I think if you're passionate about something, and you love to do something, you kind of owe it to yourself to learn about where it came from.
Yeah,
Agreed,
You
yeah.
you delve
You know,
yourself into
You gotta
it.
know, like, in order to
DJ
have an
delve.
idea of where you're gonna be going, taking this art form, if you're talking about DJing, with you gotta kind of know where it's been. Like, what was it?
I don't understand how anyone is not interested in history. Like all the no
You'd
seriously.
be surprised, man. All these new motherfuckers.
Well, see, like if you actually look at
EDM
history,
DJs jumping into this shit, not knowing what the fuck a turntable is, never having touched one. Like, how do you?
No,
not-
this is the thing is-
iPod playlist.
You're so
This is the
angry
thing.
right now.
this is the thing. Like if you look at all of history, if you look at all of history, it's all basically sex, betrayal, and murder. And who doesn't want to hear those crazy ass stories? Like, that's all of history.
That's true.
And so, like, how do people not find history fascinating?
It's
one of my favorite quotes of all time, I'm planning on getting it tattooed at some point when I have money, is history is the autobiography of a madman.
Right here.
I like that.
I know,
Yeah.
right in your heart.
Lower back.
Somewhere.
Tramp
Yeah, get a nice tramp stamp of history is the autobiography of a madman.
And it's great. Like with everything, like you have to learn the roots if you really want to be about this shit, you know? Like, I don't know everything about hip hop. I don't know all my hip hop history, you know? Like, an Iron DJ, I had like this fucking question that I should have known, and I totally blanked out, you know? And
she didn't know who Run DMC. Wait, was it Run DMC's
Run
DJ?
DMC's DJ, Master J, and like I didn't, like I blanked out, you know? And then like
you were nervous. Just
I
say
was
that.
I blanked out, and I was so fucking nervous, and it's just like, you know, like they would never let it go. They kept teasing me about it, you know, when there were other DJs who were fucking up way more than me, you know, but you know, it's cool. Like, I never called myself a hip hop DJ, you know, like when I first started learning mixing, like it was DJ Revise, you know, who told me to DJ, because I think mostly because he was lazy to like make a mix. Because at the time, I was making playlists for Contrast, and I was like, "Yo, can you make me a mix?" He's like, "Why don't you just mix it?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're right. Can you teach me?" You know. And then he taught me the basics, because you know essentially I'm repping him because he's my teacher, right? So he started me from records.
It's always two.
Yeah, started me from records, and like, because of that solid foundation, now I can play on anything. I can play on CDJs. I can play a controller. I can play turntables. Anything now, you know. And like what he was talking about, like a lot of DJs coming into scene now don't know. They don't know how to play turntables, and turntables are the backbone of DJing. You know.
Without knowledge of the history of DJing, you have these fucking, I like to call them genre whores, who are only into, I'm only into EDM, like talk shit about hip hop. Yo, without hip hop, if you read this book, you wouldn't have electronic dance music as you know today. You know, that all started with fucking, well, it started with this electronic group called Kraftwerk, based out of Germany, and then Africa BaDa, one of the pioneer DJs of hip hop, dating back to like the 1970s, during the birth of this shit. He would like take like Kraftwerk records and, you know, work that into his, sample it and work it into his own genre of music called electro funk. The electro funk, you know, like Planet Rock, you're looking for the perfect beat, Planet Patrol, all that shit. That's where like electro comes from, you know. So to not
be able to fuck with all kinds of genres, it's like how you a DJ.
Yeah,
and forgetting about like where electronic dance music came from, it's kind of like, how can you say fuck hip hop and be supportive or be, you know, like an advocate of electronic dance music if you don't know where it came from?
Even like reggae, like all that too, like ska. It's like all those, you know, those drum kits. Like, how are you gonna say you hate that when it's like the backbone of all your genres? You know,
that's
like it's funny. Like, that's why I always have a hard time when people ask me, "Oh, like what genre? Like what do you play?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, I guess
like,
everything."
Whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, like everything.
Trying to turn the fuck up. Let's go.
Yeah, like I just
tell me when.
I feel like I was saying earlier, like with, you know, individuals, everyone has a masculine side, feminine side. I feel like that with the way I play. Like sometimes I want to hear turn up shit and gangsta shit, but most of the time I want to hear like sweet stuff and R&B, you know. Shut up. But it's crazy. It's been a fun journey. Like, I never learned how to play an instrument, and this is the closest I've been to music ever.
And the turntable is a musical instrument.
Yeah,
if you've seen people like turntablists like DJ Qbert, D Styles,
they accent.
DJ Craze. It's like this whole, well, it's an instrument and you're making music with it.
Yeah.
An instrument of
even though you're playing other people's shit, I mean, like it's still like not a lot of people can, and it's not easy. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you just pick it up real easy. I'm like, no.
It's not just DJing itself.
I tried. There was a point, and then like it just further accentuated how non-musically inclined I am.
Yeah,
it's like, because I try, like I don't have an ear, like I don't have any sort of internal rhythm. I don't have an ear for it.
No, me neither. Like I don't.
Like the part of the reason why I stopped is because like
You got the
Tron
offbeat
was
white girl
actually
syndrome or something.
Tron was
Like,
actually
what?
teaching me,
Gave you a
and
complex.
the first thing he was teaching me was trying to teach me how to do beat matching. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's on beat. And he's like, no, it's not. Like, it's not
hard.
at all. I'm
No,
like,
and like I had
It's like
trouble with that.
rewiring. Yeah, it's like rewiring your
Yeah.
brain
Yeah.
to
Because
listen pretty much.
even now, DJs still don't know. Like, there's some DJs I don't know, and like it took me a while to really get the hang of it. You know,
Especially with
Like,
technology, like
yeah,
with sync
so-
nowadays.
yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm not a DJ. I'm not
Yeah.
musically inclined whatsoever. But even like being friends with so many musicians and so many like turntablists and people who do DJing and
Yeah.
mixing and whatnot. Like, even I hate the sync feature that's
I'm all
coming
for
out
it.
in so many
Like
things.
coming from me, and I'm like, you know, I'm
you're like on both sides of the fence.
yeah,
I feel like.
I'm all for it. Like
Purist.
technology, fuck yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm down
Like,
for that
I
too.
use a fucking iPhone.
Well, I
Like,
mean,
I'm not
it's-
gonna go
it's
back
good.
to a rotary cell phone.
Wait,
It's
what's
good.
the sync? What's the
Rotary
sync
phone.
feature?
So sync is like automatically beat matching it for you.
Okay, so
It's a good
See, I
tool.
feel like RJ could DJ because we'll be listening to a song and he'll
He'd be like,
start
"Oh, this
like
goes with-"
singing a different song and he's like, it's the same shit.
Yeah, he could
I was
totally
like,
do
you
that.
could totally
That's-
do it. Anyone
yeah.
can do it. Especially if
Yeah.
you got that ear for like listening like to music and stuff. Basically what beat matching is, if people don't know, whoever's listening don't know what the fuck DJs do, like what are they doing up there? Okay, you're taking
We're just
one
watching
song,
you playing Scrabble on our phone.
You're taking one song and you're trying to mix it with another song so that there's this cohesive
Clean.
mix, clean, cohesive
Yeah.
mix. So you don't know when one song starts and one song ends. Basically, that's what beat mixing is. And songs aren't all made the same at the
Yeah.
same speed. So what you got to do,
harmony for song.
what you got to do in the mix is basically adjust one or both of the songs to the speed of each one, in order for them to mix together cohesively. Like
and then you have
connect,
to
know what I'm
time
saying?
those songs so when you transition between them,
There's that.
they're
Yeah.
that,
That,
you don't
and you gotta
hear
know-
that transition.
Yeah, and then you gotta know like the structure of the song, because like I said, not all songs are made the same.
Yeah.
There's different ways. Well, now
Especially hip hop. Hip hop is the hardest. I feel like is the hardest genre to mix with because there's so much talking. You know, like
Oh.
it's hard, and like
then and there's people like Outkast who say fuck it, fuck a 8-bar intro.
yeah, and they'll just
We're
go
gonna-
ramble on. Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
Even Goody Mob does that too.
Yeah, you know.
Fuck, they just talk forever, and you're like, okay, I don't know when to transition in.
There's kind of a standard formula right now. Like if you go, you know, like trance music, there's like 32-bar
Oh, yeah,
intros.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like something like it's. But they basically make it that way for DJs,
Yeah.
so it's easier. You know.
But
that
still,
kinda
it's
too.
still hard because it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
depends on you. But yeah, it took me forever to like really grasp like beat matching. You
I picked
know?
it up the first day.
Yeah,
Shut
it
the
was
fuck up.
and I'm sure if I stuck with it, I probably would eventually pick it
Yeah.
up too. The thing is, like, I realized, like I said, like what I want to do is tell stories. I
Oh,
wanna get
yeah.
into it. And so I was like, I saw how much work it was going to take, and I was like,
Yeah.
if I really focus on this and actually try to learn to become
Then
a DJ,
it'll take away
it's going to
from
take away from
what I really want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I transitioned away. I
Yeah.
still have an appreciation for it. I don't by any means really understand it
Yeah.
because I'm not able to do it. But it's this incredible thing where it's like, oh, you know, you have to figure out what your passion is and balance what you want to do with what you know you got to
Yeah, it's cool. Like I kind of stumbled on DJing and didn't realize how passionate I was about it. You know, I used to joke with Cozy and Ill Hill all the time, saying, "Watch, come on, get me to be a DJ. Come on, I'll be a girl DJ. You know how many people fuck with you guys even more?"
A lot of girls are like that.
He would just
honestly.
laugh at me. But yeah, and that's wise because a lot of girls were like hitting, "Oh, just teach me how to
girls,
DJ."
like, girls that were just trying to hang out, they'd like pull the whole like DJ card thing.
Yeah,
Like,
so
"Yo,
he just-
show
Well,
me
I
how
feel
to
like
DJ.
DJ, like, there's something cool and like statusy about being a DJ now.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, but so like he would laugh at me. And
Wouldn't laugh. I
No,
would
you
be
did. You did laugh at me.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, like he didn't believe me, and then it's just funny now where I am, you know, and it's just
This kind of like winds
Yeah,
back
and we're
into this-
DJing together.
yeah.
This-
Now
you
we're
know?
teaching together.
this winds back into feminism too, because like that points specifically to like how he would kind of laugh because so many people were doing it that
Yeah.
obviously weren't dedicated.
Yeah.
It makes it harder for like because we don't see that lens that you're seeing it through because
Yeah.
it just made it incredibly
It's
harder
like
for
these
you
girls
because
are-
no
like,
one took
these
you
people,
serious.
Yeah.
People just like cry wolf, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Into that stuff.
and then like even DJ Revise is saying that to me. Like I asked him like how many girls have you taught to DJ, and he was like, well, they tried, but you know they didn't stick with it. You
Yeah.
did, you know,
Yeah.
and that him laughing just made me even more so want to fucking do it. Okay, you gonna laugh at me? Okay.
I have a question. What do you
Yes.
guys think about? Because I know you produce and you DJ, like, but and I fuck with Carmack. I'm sorry, but his show was all right. Like, it was fun. We all had fun, but I feel like he's definitely a better producer than he is a DJ.
Yeah.
Do you think it's easier to transition from one to the other?
Oh, it's hard. So,
well, he was kind of like he
was always a producer.
He was always a producer,
he
and
never
he was kind of
trying to make like he was a DJ. You know?
he was kind of like thrust into
DJing.
the DJing like
because everyone was
culture because he was a producer and because he was getting booked. And how else are you gonna what's the best way to display your beats, DJing.
Yeah, and like we're at this point now where the people want to see the person who created the beats. It's not the DJs anymore. They want to see the actual producer.
The guy behind the mixing board.
And then it freaks them out because it's like, fuck, we don't know how to DJ. And suddenly they have to learn, And like,
when he first started, like technically he wasn't like on point.
And that's how it is with everyone.
Yeah, it's like he's just
growing.
starting the DJ, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, seeing his progress though
is wonderful.
He's getting really good.
It was really like now like there's like not only do you have to learn how to play music, you need to really pay attention to the crowd, which is what I started learning.
He was so nice. Like he was giving out flowers, like he was taking pictures with whoever. He was posing for pictures.
And that's
was that a Tuesday party?
Yeah.
I don't remember anything from that party because that fucking Jameson had me done, dude.
You showed up and I waved at you and you're like,
really? I didn't give you a hug or nothing?
I mean, I came up and hugged you. I don't know if it was consensual on your part. But
I will give you a consensual hug after this. I owe you one.
We were blessed because, that's the second time he asked us to play with him, and like he hasn't really asked any other promoter to, help like do a show with him. So we've been super
the fact that he
blessed.
did that show like last minute and no cover, nothing, like
and that just shows what kind of artist he is. Like no matter how high he is, like it's just he's down to earth, and like that's what we fuck with, like that's why we support him so hard, and like I never want to get to that point. I will always want to be down to earth. Like I don't give a shit where I play, who I play for. Like I will never be like that.
I don't think he sees how much like fans we are of his music.
Yeah, he doesn't. I fangirl.
We're just like homies to him.
Whenever he comes and hangs out here, I'm fucking fangirl. I'm trying to be cool, but I'm like, oh my god, it's him, like. And even when we brought down like So Super Sam and Esta, we were fucking fan. Like, so hard.
I was.
But after he,
I'm pretty grounded. Okay.
After he met with him though and like hung out with him, then
So Super Sam is so super bae. Like honestly, I showed up there for Esta and I stayed for Sam.
Yeah,
like,
she rocks it. She rocks the fuck out.
Pretty much. And that's why I wanted to bring her down. It was like.
Yeah, Esta was cool because he offered me liquor.
This guy.
And his music's cool.
But like that's
like, you want some? Sure, man.
And it was basically an open bar. That was dope.
It was.
Shout out to Greenleaf Check.
It was interesting. Like even like with the whole like DJ producer now, it's very two different roles. Like were you a DJ first?
I was always a DJ first. That was the first thing I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
I feel like we as uninformed listeners don't understand the separation is.
It's weird because think of it like this way, like science and I don't know, like social, like so the DJ is kind of like playing other people's music. We know what we want to hear, but now we have to kind of like reverse our fucking thinking and think how that beat was broken down and made. So it's like science, it's like two very different approaches
like
to music.
And macro.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's just like I want to learn how to produce, and like just the thought of creating my own beat is so fucking overwhelming. Like it's overwhelming me right now, like so I give props to people who can kind of switch gears like that and can do both, like Toki Monster fucking killing it. I love her.
I heard what Ginza did to her.
You cut her off.
Fuck Ginza.
Basically. And after that, I don't remember much because that was the night I blacked out and I got like my shit stolen while I was sleeping in my car.
Oh yeah, your phone.
Yeah, dude, I passed up. Dad, okay, I parked at Ginza and I guess I fell asleep.
Your mom's calling you.
God damn it, Mom.
Or were you trying to wrap this up?
Nah. Did you want to? Nah, we can keep going if you want.
I mean, yeah, we want to. We usually do about an hour and a half, and we're coming up on it, but we can keep talking.
We're waiting for John.
Let's keep going. Well, there's one more topic I want to.
Yeah,
there's one more topic I want to bring up.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? I was saying something about DJing.
No.
Tokimasa. I was telling you the story about Tokimasa. Okay, yeah, I went to Tokimasa. Good times. Got really drunk. Somebody bought me drinks. I don't know if she roofied me or not.
She probably did. Because you blacked out.
Fail.
Because I fucking blacked out and I woke up in the Ginza parking lot with my shirt off. My phone's gone. My Volcano e-cig was gone. My wallet was gone.
Ew, why's your shirt off?
Did you still have your shirt or they stole your shirt?
I didn't have my shirt.
Damn, cuz they stole the shirt off your back.
Because I remember like I went in the back seat to grab a shirt. It wasn't my shirt. It was Josh's shirt.
Shit.
It was Josh's shirt because he had changed shirts in my car because he rode with me from Alamoana. And I was like, and it was like pouring rain. And I was like, where the fuck am I? Where the fuck is my phone? Where's my wallet? Where's everything? And I was like, oh, it's gone.
Dang, I could. Oh,
it was a good show though, and Ginza cut her off to put on one of their whack fucking DJs.
That's so lame.
To play,
I mean, we didn't hear the other story, so I don't know like what really happened. You know, like because like the promoter had stuff to say about it, but I don't know where Ginza was coming from. You know. Like I like to know both sides because we are we are promoters, but we're also artists too. Yeah. But I don't know what happened that night. I just know she got cut off.
I've always had a very negative opinion about Ginza.
Me too.
About that place.
All I know is
even though Rihanna's playing there tonight.
I know I'm playing
there. Yeah, the place like emptied out after they cut her off, I heard.
I get to play hip hop tonight, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go check it out.
I'm gonna play Ja Rule. That's some gangster shit.
Yes.
Yo, play some of that Benny Bitty Beachy shit, yo. Cause that's like my favorite.
I'm gonna play The Dream. That's what I'm gonna play all night.
I don't like that.
The Dream is the shit. What else did you want? Wait, what was the topic you wanted to talk about?
Okay, well, Mikey wanted to talk about Drake.
Oh yeah, Drake.
Yeah.
We were just talking about it a little bit yesterday. Me and Cozy were.
See, I don't know if the Drake slander is. I mean, a lot of it is like Ghostface. It's so terrible. I'm such a bad feminist, but like I wait for Ghostface's like annual softest rappers in the game.
And supposedly that's not even him.
Oh really?
Yeah, someone's just pretending.
It's so fucking hilarious.
It is. It's because you're like you're modern. You're young. Of course, don't feel bad.
It's so funny, but then it's so like
against what you believe,
everything that I stand for, because they're just saying that these rappers are not masculine.
They're just saying what you're thinking. That's what it is. No, it's pretty funny. Like we were listening to Drake's album yesterday. I've actually been listening to the past few days.
Yeah,
it's been on rotation.
But on that, basically like masculinity in rap, like do you have to put on this sort of like masculine persona, like, and is it wrong for somebody to express their sort of like feminine side in their raps, is basically what you want to know,
or at least like what the world would perceive as feminine. But it's like, are we just gonna say that men are just have no emotions except anger and aggression? Like that's so unfair, and that's like one of the ways that feminism addresses patriarchy's effect on men. Like, and it's so emotionally traumatic for a boy to grow up thinking that he can't express himself emotionally, and just the ways that just fucks you up.
Yeah, I agree.
And to think that it wouldn't fuck somebody up is silly.
My whole thing when it comes to making raps is honesty. So if you feel a certain type of way, then you have a right to express yourself in that way. And you shouldn't give a fuck about what other people think about. Like, if, okay, yo, this dude's being a pussy. Yo, he talking about love and shit, But for me, there's a time and a place. Like, when I first started rapping, that's all I wrote were fucking love songs.
I know.
I wrote
them.
Yeah.
It's like girl crush music. I missed it too.
Yeah, because I was going through that phase where I was meeting all these girls. I was, having these feelings. And it's like I was going through a fucking second renaissance of puberty. Because when I started rapping, I was already like 20 years old. You know what I mean? And then there's
I like that you just added renaissance into, instead of just being like a second puberty, a second renaissance of puberty.
Didn't you
It was
know?
an awakening.
It felt right to say. I don't know if it means
Enlightenment.
anything.
That's
You know
what it
I'm
is.
saying? Like,
Enlightenment period.
Enlightenment period is like
Enlightenment.
my second childhood.
I feel like when like guys like talk about that kind of stuff, or like when Drake does, I feel like it makes them even more so like I respect them. Like
Yeah.
they're ignoring all this bullshit about people calling him a pussy and whatever, and he's just coming out and just fucking saying it.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so successful, because all these guys don't want to admit it, but they identify with him so
Yeah,
bad.
it's like there's so much Drake slander, but
they
you're gonna buy
relate
his
it.
music.
Yeah.
Or you're at least gonna download
'Cause
it and tweet about it.
I'm like a late Drake bloomer. Like I did not like him at all. Like I thought his voice was irritating, and then when
I was a fan.
Yeah,
I was
he
a
was.
fan, yeah.
So he like
since teach you a lesson.
when me and Robin started dating, like he would listen to Drake all the time and be like, "Oh my god, I do not like Drake," and then he stopped playing it.
I was since the first free,
His
So Far
mixtape.
Gone.
Yeah.
That one down.
Which
That was
is
done.
After teach you a lesson, I downloaded that, and then that's when I
Which
started.
is the Clouds one? I forgot that one. Oh, was it? And
I don't know.
Yeah, nothing
and
was the same.
Yeah, nothing was the same. That's what hooked me.
Really?
Yeah. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
yeah. Because everyone was saying the Take Care one. Like he
Yeah.
was saying, like, yeah, I identify with his music a lot because that's where I was, at the time of my life. I'm like, what the fuck, like, But then like when he came out with Nothing Was the Same, like I was like, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. And like it's weird. It's like not a lot of people say that's the Drake album that did it for them. But yeah, like I mean like this album that he released is a lot of hard shit, but it's still kind of soft. Like it's like hard lyrics but soft beats. It's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just respect him more that he can talk about that kind of shit. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Like
all.
I feel like Tupac did the same.
Yeah,
like,
he was like
There's
a
another one.
yeah, he's a
like-
sensitive thug. That's what he was.
Sensitive thug.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
that too. And like when for me as a rapper, when I'm making a song, I kind of tune into like what I'm feeling right now. So like the reason I stopped making that
Good.
kind of music and was because everybody's got their heart broken right over here.
Mm-hmm.
I had really bad ones, one after another, 3, matter of fact, within like the same fucking year. Like how fucking crazy is that? So I got into this stage of being like fucking angry and
Yeah.
emotional. So a lot of my stuff after that, even to this day, is very. I'm kind of like figuring out like what I'm gonna talk about for my next album right now. But
Yeah.
before then, like during the horror show stuff, during the self-suicide stuff, it was very depressing stuff. I was very depressed. I was very angry.
Yeah.
You're finding your evolving
That
voice.
was- and I haven't and I don't like making. Sometimes I feel like maybe I want to make a love song, but I don't want it to feel forced. I want it to feel honest
Yeah.
and genuine.
Yeah,
And
you
if-
can't rush art.
Yeah, you can't, and you gotta be. You gotta have like.
In
So
that
in
mind
order for me
state.
to be
Yeah.
honest with myself in the way that I'm expressing this sort of feeling, I kind of gotta be in that
Mood.
state of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, like that's how it is. Like even when I make mixes and stuff, like all my lovey-dovey mixes is because I'm at home and I'm like, I'm surrounded by that. So it's like
Got tits and ribs.
yeah, so I that's what comes out is like all that lovey-dovey shit. But then like when I'm in the club, I can't play that
Chitty
shit
bang.
I can't play that shit in the club, like I had to like he really helped me with that. Like I had to really step out of my comfort zone of being a bedroom DJ and had to start really paying attention to like what the fuck people want to hear. Like what do
Yeah.
I want to hear if
What are
I'm
they
at the club with my
vibing to?
girls? Yeah. And at the time, I don't want to listen to fucking super sad shit
Yeah.
or like really lovey-dovey stuff. But it's
Although,
weird.
At the ATG anniversary party, Delve dropped some SZA, and B and I were like,
It's
"Fuck yeah!"
Yeah, it's because we like me and Amber asked for it.
Oh, okay.
Because we love
Wait, which
SZA.
SZA song?
I forgot which one. I was drunk already.
I like the one she did over the fucking XXYY.
That might have been it, But like
I don't know how to sing it.
yeah, like see, like when it's like that, when there's a lot of people in that same mindset as you
Yeah.
in that room, then totally
Yeah.
fucking do it. Like I forgot what show it was. It was I think it was a horror show, like the release party at Next Door.
Yeah.
I was dropping like a lot of like 90s like female like R&B hip hop, and like I know all you guys were like fucking feeling
Oh,
it. You guys were like dying because I was dying too because I really wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what more DJs need to do is play what the fuck they want to hear.
Yeah, and like I do, but sometimes I gotta,
You gotta
I'm getting
conform
paid,
to the
so
man.
I gotta, play for the
people what they
majority,
want.
or I gotta
Fucking
drink
yeah.
to get on their level. Like, okay, you want to hear this? It's weird. Like that's like a whole nother skill for DJing.
Yeah.
Fucking crowd pleasing. It's hard. It's like a
Reading the
relationship,
crowd.
dude. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
sometimes it's a good thing too. One time I was playing at Michelle's and I got paid $50 to play fucking what is this one?
Oh, Cat Daddy.
Cat Daddy.
I like that
song. Kept dropping
Listen
20.
to that in the gym.
He's fucking
Yeah.
throwing $20 bills every time, telling me to play Cat Daddy, and I didn't have it on my laptop.
So you have to
shit.
play it on
So-
your phone.
Yeah, I played it on my
there you
phone.
go.
And I looked it up over there, and I made some fucking extra money just for playing some fucking stupid song.
Someone gave me $5 to play Pitbull, and I really did not want to play it.
Should have been like 20.
I know, but I'm just like in this weird place. Like I don't want to ask for money like that, But I think the best tip I got was like $20, and that was to play Nicki Minaj "Feeling Myself," and I love that song anyway.
Me too.
So it works out, Like it's it's a fun journey, DJing.
That's a weird road to go down to, is like requests from DJs, because they're requesting to DJs, because there's like a lot of my friends are EDM DJs,
Yeah.
and they absolutely hate getting requests.
Because they always request something stupid, like out of your lane. Like, yo, play some Prince.
Calais sent me a picture of this DJ from when she was in San Fran with Puna and Lonnie.
I seen that one.
And like the guy had
like
a
a
big
sign.
ass
No
sign that
DJ
said no.
request.
Yeah.
No request.
And she's like, fuck this guy.
Like
I
I'm
don't like
like
requests either, but
I'm-
I'm nice though. So
yeah, I'm nice.
yeah.
If
like-
you can fit it in there properly.
Yeah, I'll be like, yo, okay, I'll work it in.
Sometimes if I
can.
don't-
if I can't, then I won't even.
Sometimes
play it,
if I don't know what to play, it's like the best. Like I was talking to Robin about this, and he likes getting requests because it helps him figure out like, what
Yeah, what the
the
fuck they
crowd
want.
is
Yeah, what they
feeling,
want.
Yeah.
So that
That's-
helps a lot,
That time at
Well, that's-
Tropics when we got shut down,
What
I
happened?
asked him to play International Players Anthem.
Yeah.
And like all of us, there must have been like 25
And
of
then
us.
see, that's a good request, and that makes you excited as a DJ. It makes you excited,
and we like turned the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
we were already on one,
Well, that seems like,
and then they shut us down.
that seems like a risk to take, because
Yeah.
what if the person requesting isn't feeling what the rest of the club is feeling?
Yeah,
What if
that's
this one
true.
person's like, I want to hear
True.
Madonna, and
Yeah.
everyone in the club's
Yeah.
like, fuck that.
Yeah. So like I'll
Exercise your
play it
discretion.
a little bit, and then I'll fucking
Mix it
shut that
super
table.
fast,
I'll turn the table off and go start a whole new mood
smart.
or whatever. But like I played at Addiction this past Thursday, and it was a surprise. Like I got a lot of requests, but they asked me first, like, do you take requests?
wow.
So that was really nice. I did not expect that there.
Maybe just compose, not.
I don't.
tape or-
I'm sure he does. Like I mean, being there every
Yeah.
night. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I give props to that guy. I can't do that every night. So I mean, it's cool. Like it's interesting.
Sup, Tuck?
Hi.
He's here to relieve us so that we can go do our Valentine's Day dinner.
Aw.
Okay, on that note, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
All right.
Push that button. Like, fucking dope conversation, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
We gotta have you
Yeah,
on
thanks for
again.
having-
We gotta have you on again.
Thank you,
Continue
Mykie.
the conversation.
Yeah, that was fun. We could
Thanks for
probably talk about
hosting us.
everything. Fuck.
Yeah. Thanks, Riana. Mykie, where can people find you on Twitter if they want to follow you?
At what is it? Michaelita
It's your Twitter.
underscore.
She's like asking.
At Mykelita _ MYKA.
You gotta.
Lita.
Wait,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Someone needs to change their Twitter name.
I'll put a fucking link up. Follow that. Riana, where can people find you on Twitter?
Tittahbyte, Tittah Byte, BYTE.
And you can find me at Joncozy on, well, pretty much everything. JONCOZY trip.
Fuck Joncozy.
Ben. Yeah, fuck Joncozy. Fuck Joncozy. That's like my thing.
You're so angry.
I said
not
that
angry.
at the Green Leaf check at
It's some,
the
like, girl,
EXLUSIVE
like-
show, and I was like, "Fuck John Cozy," and this girl was like,
You're so mean.
I was like,
No, it's okay. It's okay.
It's a thing. It's a thing,
okay.
guys. It's an inside joke.
It's okay. It's okay.
No.
"It's cool."
Rude.
I'm Mark House.
Workhouse.
Workhouse bitch. Okay,
Then
so
where can people follow you?
I'm at TripHas808 on pretty much everything.
And you can follow the Aloha Broha podcast on Twitter at Aloha Broha _GLC. Check us out on AlohaBroha.com and at GreenleafCheck.com for all of your underground music Hawaii stuff.
Also, if you haven't already, go like the Facebook. So just search Aloha Broha, it'll come up.
Yeah. And check out About the Goods. Come down to their spot in Macaulay. You can check out About the Goods at aboutthegoods.com and check out their shop over here at Macaulay. I'll post up links on where you can locate their shop, aboutthegoods.com. That
One
is
T.
About the Goods with one T. No,
so it's
two
like
T's,
about
no two
he
T's.
goods.
Abouthegoods.com. Lots of dope exclusive streetwear brands.
Pick up the horror show album here.
Stuffs.
Lots of stuffs. Okay, signing off. This is the Aloha Broha podcast.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.